Namaste. Our practice today is themed around the idea of Mercury's retrograde. So what does that even mean? So it's to do with the planet Mercury. And when we look up at the sky, it seems to us that the planet follows across the sky usually. And then at certain times of the year, it seems to be going across the sky and then go back on itself, do a little loop, and then continue. So Mercury goes around the sun about 4 times as fast as the Earth. And to start with, we're going along and Mercury's going along, and it looks like they're going in the same direction. But when Mercury is whizzing on around the sun in the night sky, it suddenly looks, instead of Mercury going this way, it suddenly looks like Mercury is going the other way, because actually it's done half of its circle. And as we're still continuing around this way, it's whizzing around. So what's that got to do with yoga? When Mercury is retrograde, Mercury is the planet that is responsible for communication. It rules communication. And when it appears to be going backwards, when it's moving in this strange way across the sky, it affects the way we communicate. It can cause misunderstandings. And nowadays in the modern era, it affects technology, anything to do with communication. So we see servers going down, we see people, whole workforces, their computers crashing, they're particularly flaky at this time. I'm bad enough with computing and IT normally, but when Mercury is retrograde, it's a nightmare. So just notice in the next few days if there's anything that you can reflect on that has happened to you like this. And Mercury's retrograde for 3 weeks at a time, 3 or 4 times a year, depending how the year falls. So come to sitting comfortably, draw the spine up nice and tall and relax the shoulders. And have the hands relaxed on the knees or the thighs. And bring your attention to your breath. And you could focus, if you want, on the throat area. This is where the throat chakra energy center is, which rules our communication in the body. We're going to send that some love today. So we're thinking about communication, and we're also thinking about going backwards and forwards, being thrown out of kilter, and how that affects us. So some nice deep breaths in and long breaths out help to calm and soothe the nervous system. And in our practice today, I want you to think about, can we breathe through, and can we stay with poses and movements which maybe take us a little out of balance? Can we be okay with that and carry on? Start with the head. Inhale, reaching up through the crown of the head. And exhale, dropping the chin slowly towards the chest. And then we're going to gently roll the head from side to side. So maybe on an inhale, rolling the chin over towards the left shoulder. Exhaling, dropping the head back to center and forward. Inhaling, rolling the chin over to the right shoulder. And carrying on nice and smooth and slow at your own rate. Working with the breath. Thinking of this idea of going backwards and forwards. And when you've done an equal number of times on each side, so when you're looking towards your right shoulder next time, coming back to the center, gently lifting the head up. And changing the cross of the legs. If you're sitting cross-legged, or maybe changing the way you're sitting so the legs stay comfortable. And we're going to do our circle of joy movements with the arms. So bringing the hands in front of the heart, lifting the heart, pressing the thumbs into the sternum on the inhale. Link the fingers, and on the exhale, push the palms away, drop the head, allow the back to round. On the inhale, lift the palms up to the sky. And then exhale, let the fingers separate and the hands find each other again. Link the fingers behind the back. Ready? On the inhale, lift the chest, reach back through the knuckles, squeeze the shoulder blades, and exhale, round the spine as you let the hands separate, big circles. Palms come together in front of you with outstretched arms. And on the inhale, you bring the hands back to the heart, ready to start again. Take an exhale there, release the shoulders. And we inhale, lift the heart. Exhale, link the fingers, push the palms away from you, round the spine, drop the head. Inhale, lifting the hands up. You can lift the gaze as well if you keep your neck nice and long. And then letting the fingers separate, big circles around. See if you can find the opposite bind with your fingers this time, so the one that feels awkward. And then reach through the knuckles, lift the heart, maybe again lifting the head. Exhale, fingers separate, big circles around in front of you. Palms come together with the arms straight, and the hands come back to the heart. Taking a breath there. I want you to do that one more time, your own breath rate. So if you want to go a little faster or a little slower than me, that's fine. And think of the exhales as releasing and closing. The inhales, stretching and opening. So alternating the energies, this ha and ta, opening and closing. When the hands next come back in front of the heart, staying there for a breath, noticing how that feels in your shoulders and the arms. And then we'll come on to tabletop position on our hands and knees. And we're going to do a balance. If you don't like the wrists being directly under the shoulders and taking all the weight, then do come onto your forearms. And we'll take a little cat-cow stretch first to warm up the spine. So from a flat, nice flat tabletop, extending out through the crown of the head and out through the back of the hips. Inhale there. Exhale. Draw the tummy up to the ceiling, round the back, drop the head. On the inhale, tilt the pelvis towards the floor, lift the heart, lift the head. So keep that going. Lovely smooth movement along the spine, flexing and rounding, moving at the same speed as your breath length. Seeing how the spine feels today. Feel that you're lengthening down the sides of your body as well as along the spine. Finishing in a neutral position. And for our balance, you might find it helps to bring the knees a little closer together. Again, you can drop onto forearms anytime you like in this next sequence. So to start with, we're going to lift the right foot out behind us, hip height, so that the heel is level with the hip and the toes point down to the floor. So you might want to internally rotate that back thigh a little bit so those toes are pointing directly down, and let the gaze be between your hands. And this keeps a nice long length in the back of the neck rather than you crunching up the back of the neck, trying to look forwards or up. Keep the gaze soft and down and breathe here. And you can stay just as we are, or if you want to test your balance a little more, you can lift the left hand off of the floor and lift that to shoulder height with either the thumb pointing up to the sky or the palm face down, whatever makes you feel more balanced. If that feels a little too wobbly, perhaps you extend the fingertips in front a little way. Fingertips can be on the mat, but they're in front of the shoulder, and you can just tease the fingertips on and off the mat. So nice big breaths here. Hug everything into the midline. Imagine you can draw everything in around your spine. Give the glutes a little bit of a squeeze. Draw up the pelvic floor. So we're really engaging the core. Nice big inhale to finish. Exhale, let the hand and the knee come down. You can sink back into child pose, or you can sit back and rotate the wrists, stretch the fingers, whatever feels nice for a moment before we do the other side. And the idea is, can we keep our cool in these balances? Because life is good at throwing us curveballs. And the more we can breathe through these things in our yoga practice, the better we'll get at doing them in real life. So coming back to all fours, ready to balance on the other way. And if you want to give your hands a rest, you can of course do this on your forearms. I'm going to take the left foot back so that it's level with the hips. You've got that lovely straight line through the body, and breathe there. Think, are my toes pointing down at the floor? It's easy to think they are, but actually the foot can be pointing out to the side. So lovely length in the spine, length along the back of the neck. Head reaches forward, the crown of the head reaches forward, and the gaze is down at the mat. And then totally up to you, whether you want to creep those right fingers forward, lift them on and off close to the mat, or whether you're coming up into a balance, palm down, or thumb pointing up to the sky. And think energy reaching out through those fingertips. Good. Push back through the back heel, and then hug everything into the midline. Keep the breath slow and steady. Inhaling, exhaling. A couple more times. Notice if you're clenching your teeth or furrowing your brow. Let's see if we can keep tension away. Good. One more breath to finish. Exhale, hand and knee coming down to the floor. And we're going to walk our hands back towards our knees, tuck the toes under, and if it's okay for you, come into a toe balance. So we're balancing on our toes with the knees bent. If this isn't right for you, remain sitting for a moment, and you can either keep the hands touching the floor, fingertips on the floor, or if it's okay for you, see how it feels to bring the hands in front of the heart. Find a spot to gaze at that's not moving. And again, breathing in, breathing out. So we're deliberately making ourselves feel a little wobbly, seeing if we can be okay with that. The longer we stay here, the more challenging the pose gets. Anytime you want to, you can bring this into a forward fold. That's where we'll be heading next. See if you can take 3 more slow, deliberate breaths. Inhaling, exhaling, really nice. And it'll be an exhale where the hands come down to the floor. You stretch the hips up and you're in a forward fold. You can walk the legs out. Feel the opening down the back of the legs. And feet hip width apart, pressing down into the floor, ready to rise up, either rolling up, or you might want to bend the knees, keep that back straighter and float up with the arms or without the arms, lifting up to you. Coming into mountain pose and feeling like we've arrived on the mat, ready for a little workout. Good. So I want to work the shoulders and arms just a little more before we come into a standing side stretch and our dance of Shiva. So let's have the hands at the heart space. And as we breathe in, take them out to the side and up. As we breathe out, bring them down the center to the heart. Good. Do that 3 more times. If you want to, the last couple of times, you can come up onto your toes on the inhale and see if you can lower back down slowly on the exhale. Good. See if you can do it with control. Well done. And one more time, if you like, rising up onto tiptoes deliberately, challenging ourselves. Good stuff. And releasing the hands again. Okay, so you are welcome to stay feet hip width apart, or maybe even a little wider, nice and stable here. Or again, we're going to deliberately throw ourselves out of kilter a little bit as a challenge for our side stretch. So you might want to sweep the right foot behind the left foot, doesn't matter if it comes off the mat, and even out your balance between the feet until you feel nice and stable. Good. And then the hands sweep up on an inhale, and the left hand catches hold of the right wrist. You reach up through those right fingers, push into the right foot, and over you go on an exhale into your side stretch, really trying to lengthen all down the right side of the body. You can choose to stay here. You might link the fingers together, and you can slowly rotate the torso around if you want to for this Shiva dance. Shiva, the god of transformation, new beginnings, but destruction in order to create those beginnings. So just like our planets rotating around. Good. Bringing that to stillness. And if you've got your legs crossed, keep them crossed for a minute. We're going to inhale, reach the hands up, and we're going to fold forward with the legs crossed or uncrossed, however you're standing. So exhale down into a forward fold. So you might still have the legs crossed, bend the knees. You can touch the fingertips to the floor, and we're going to stretch out hamstrings whilst we're here. So on an inhale, bend both knees a little more. On the exhale, hips go up, head goes down, stretch out the back of the leg. Notice where you're feeling it more, in one leg or the other. Can you even that up? Bend the knees. Maybe you bring the hands up to the shins and lift the head, lift the heart. Exhale into your forward fold. One more time. Coming in and out of the fold, and then really thinking about how you want to rise up. Okay, bit more challenging to keep the back flatter, lifting the heart, or you can roll up, whatever's right for you. Coming back to standing. If the legs are crossed, stepping back into Tadasana and letting the energy settle for a couple of breaths before we do that on the other side. So feel that length up through the crown of the head, rooting down through the feet, feeling like a tall, strong mountain. And you are welcome to stay just as you are, or if you want to sweep the left leg around the back of the right leg, take a moment to get the right distance between your feet, the right cross of the legs, so that you feel balanced and stable. And then inhale, lifting the arms up. This time the right hand grasps hold of the left wrist and go up and over on an exhale into our side stretch. Again, thinking, can those left fingers reach away from that left foot? Breathing into the left side of the body. And you can stay with this for a few breaths, maybe link the fingers together. And if you want to, start rotating slowly back to the side, forwards and to the side. Keeping the legs steady, letting the upper body do the movement. Good. Maybe 3 times around before we pause. Nice big inhale here at the top. And then folding down. Hands come to the heart and go on beyond it into a forward fold. Let the arms dangle down. You can touch the floor. You might want to hold opposite elbows as we work here for 3 breaths. Bending the knees, releasing out of our forward fold, maybe lifting up a little, and then exhale, bowing down. Twice more like that. Feel the release in the back of the body as we release the knees and rise up a little, and then the stretch in the back of the body as we bow down. Good. We're not going to rise up this time. So if your legs are crossed, stay in your forward fold, but uncross the legs. And if you're not at the front of your mat, then walk forwards near to the front of the mat so you've got room to step behind you. And we're going to take a big step back with the right foot into a lunge. So bend the left knee, and we're in a high runner's lunge. Drop that back knee onto the floor and pad it up if you want to. If you want to pad up that back knee, then please do. We're going to lift the left fingers forward and up. Now watch this. If your shoulder's not good, we're going to make big circles. Okay, if this doesn't feel nice circling the whole arm around, you can bring the hand to the hip and do gentle circles with the shoulder. Otherwise, think of a planet orbiting around the sun and make these circles lovely and big. Sweeping the hand forward, up, back, and around. Good. And next time that you come hands to the floor, you can settle there. I want you to keep the right hand either palm down on the floor or a block, or fingertips on the floor, and we're going to come into a twist. So the left hand comes to the left hip. We inhale and lengthen out through the spine, get that nice long spine. And as we exhale, we turn towards the bent knee. So we're twisting to our left, and then decide whether that top hand is going to lift to the sky or you want to keep that left hand on the hip. And breathe into this twist. Make sure that left knee is staying over the left ankle. It'll want to wander about. And you can choose to look up or sideways or down. Up to you. Nice big inhale to finish. And exhale the hands down. Now we're going to rise up. We'll do it in stages. Bring your hands onto the thigh. And on an inhale, lift the arms out open. Again, you can bring them to the heart if you don't want to keep them. On the exhale, we're going to twist towards that bent leg. Nice and slow and steady. Good. And then we're going to reverse it. So inhaling to the front and exhale, keep going, twist the other way and notice which side is easier. This is a more open twist going this way. Twisting back to the front, bring the hands down. Lovely. Tuck the back toes and come back to a high lunge this time. And we're going to rise up all the way into a standing high lunge. So again, bring the hands onto the thigh. If you feel wobbly, heel toe that front foot out to the side. The more space between the 2 feet, the more stable you'll feel. The back toes stay tucked, the back heel is lifted off the floor. If you want to, the hands lift up or come to the heart space. Good. So this is our crescent lunge. You can make it as much of a crescent as you want to. Heart can lift. The hips can dip forward. That front knee stays over the front foot. And we're going to launch ourselves into space, into a warrior 3 balance. If you don't want to do that in one movement, we're going to step to the top of the mat. The hands can come down to the side or out whatever makes you feel most balanced. And then you take that right foot back behind you. So warrior three is the one where we try and stay in a straight line and breathe. And it can be quite upright, or you can come into a T shape. Extend the crown of the head away from the back foot, whether you decide to point your toes or flex that back foot, which makes you feel more stable, more balanced. Keep that breath going. Lovely. And when you're ready to rise up to the top of your mat to standing and come back into mountain pose. Well done, and take a breath there. Just soak in all those different movements. And maybe next time, now that you know where we're launching, you might want to launch from our crescent lunge into your warrior three. We will see when we get there. So bring the hands to the heart. We're going to inhale, reach them up. Exhale, down we go into a forward fold. Making sure you're at the front of your mat, so there's enough room to step the left foot back this time. Go nice and long into a runner's lunge, and then drop the back knee down, pad it up if you want to. Make sure you're comfortable here. Good. And the left fingertips this time are going to stay on the floor. We're going to sweep the right fingertips forward, up, all around. A lovely big circle coming to the ground. Twice more. I'm trying to do this mindfully. Maybe you watch your hand if your neck is okay. Again, you could make this smaller if you want to. Circle the elbow with the hand on the hip, that's fine. And bringing the hand back down to the earth, pressing into that left hand, keeping that stable. The right hand now comes onto the right hip, and we lengthen, tailbone away from crown of the head. Inhale, exhale, start turning the body towards the bent knee. If the top shoulder and the top elbow are now pointing up to the sky, you might want to lift that right hand into the air. Otherwise, keep the hand on the hip. Few breaths here in this twist. Always trying to keep length in the spine when we turn it. So lengthening out through the crown of the head on the inhale, softening into the twist on the exhale. One more big breath here if you can. On an exhale, bringing the right hand down to the floor and preparing yourself to rise up in this low lunge first of all, bringing the hands onto the thigh. Good. Inhale, open the arms out nice and wide. And exhale, turning towards the bent knee, just until you feel resistance in the body. Breathe in and out there. And then on an inhale, start turning back, coming to the front, continuing the motion this time as you exhale, turning to the other side. Seeing if that feels a little more open, can you relax the shoulder blades down? Turning back so that you're facing that front knee. Exhale, the hands down. And then let's tuck that back toe into a runner's lunge. Here we go. You can either step to the front of your mat, come upright, and then travel into your warrior three, or let's rise up into our crescent lunge, hands at the heart or hands lifted. Lots of options for you here. And perhaps we launch ourselves forward into our warrior three. You decide where the hands go. Challenging to have the hands reaching forward. Some people like the hands out to the side, or they can reach backwards. Keep the breath going, trying to lengthen through the spine, accepting that wobbles are part of the practice of balancing. Can we keep tension out of the jaw and the shoulders, past the legs? Focus on being really strong. Let's rise up when you're ready to. And enjoy being stable for a moment. Standing back in our mountain pose. Take some nice deep breaths there. Right, we're going to take a turn to our left and take a nice wide stride on the mat, ready for goddess pose. So the toes turn out to the corner of the mat for goddess. And we're going to reach the arms up in the air to start with. Nice big inhale with the legs straight. Exhale, bend the elbows, bend the knees, drop into goddess pose and feel strong and powerful. So let the weight drop into the bottom of the body, into the feet, the hips drop down with every breath. Lovely. Inhale, we can open the arms up, lifting the heart nice and wide. Exhale, bow forwards, cross the wrists as you bow down. And then as you inhale, reach the arms out and up, pushing into the feet, straightening the legs, come all the way into a star shape. Exhale, draw energy down from the universe as you come back into goddess. Inhale, open the arms wide. Exhale, bow forward, scooping up energy from Mother Earth. Inhale, open it all up. The whole shape opens up. Last time, star shape on the inhale. Exhale into goddess pose. Nice. Open the arms out wide. And exhale, cross the wrists. This time, let the fingers find the floor. You can keep the knees bent as you square up the feet. So toes pointing towards the wide edge of your mat. Outside of the feet are now parallel to each other, and you're in a wide-legged forward fold. I want you to find your fullest forward fold. And there's lots of things you can do. You can bend one knee, then the other, sway yourself gently backwards and forwards. Sometimes that helps you drop a little more into it. Sometimes it's nice to walk the hands forward and then walk them back again. That can help take us into our forward fold. 2 or 3 more nice, deep, slow breaths here. Bowing down, respecting our energy. And then starting to walk your fingertips around to the front of the mat. Coming back to that runner's lunge, dropping the left knee down to the floor. Good. And we're going to bow down over the right knee now. So start with the right knee over the ankle, fingertips on the floor, but lift the heart on the inhale, look forward. And on the exhale, slowly start taking the hips back, drawing the hips back to straighten the front leg as you bow down over it. And the toes might lift up or they might stay on the floor. Inhale, bend that front knee, come forwards again. Lift the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, take the hips back, especially that right hip, because it's going to want to lag behind a little bit. Try and keep the hips square to the front of the mat. One more time. Inhale, lifts. Exhale, bows. Stay in the bow for a breath now. Really breathe space into the back of that straight leg. One more. Inhale, exhale here. And then bending that front knee one more time. We've got to swap it over. Tuck the back toes. Push yourself forward into a forward fold. And we'll swap over our legs. So this time, stepping back with the right foot so that the left knee is at the front over the left ankle. Drop the right knee down. Settle yourself there. Think Can I lift the heart and the gaze forward on the inhale? And then slowly start taking the hips back on the exhale. This is just a test run, this first one, straightening the legs, seeing how it feels on this side. Then release it. Come forward. Inhale. Lift the heart, lift the head. Lovely. Exhale, hips go back and we bow down. And explore the difference of keeping those left toes pointed towards the floor or letting them lift up into the air. How does it feel in the back of the leg? What feels good? Not going beyond your edge for today. When you're next in your forward fold, your half splits bow, stay there for a breath. Breathe space into the back of the legs. Exhale out the tension. And then bend the knee one last time. You can tuck the back toes. We're not going to step forward this time. We're going to step back into down dog. And you can walk the feet out, pedaling the legs, bending one knee, then the other. You can come straight to kneeling. You could take a puppy dog stretch, or make your way to child pose where we all meet in a moment. If you want to have a couple more breaths in downward facing dog, then maybe both knees bend together. You push the hands into the mat, lift the hips, and see if you can straighten the legs a little more, taking the heels down towards the floor. And then everyone finding child pose or an equivalent restorative resting posture. Coming into yourself, coming inwards, resting down to the ground, making that connection with the earth. And when you're ready, coming back up to sitting. Swinging the legs around in front of you and rolling slowly down, ready for bridge pose. Rolling down onto your back. Let the back and the shoulders settle here. Have the palms facing up to the sky, the feet hip width apart, quite close up to the hips, but not so much that the feet are lifted off the floor. I want you to press down into those feet, and on an inhale, lift the hips up, roll up the spine towards the shoulders. And on the exhale, roll back down again. Rolling back down one vertebra at a time, if possible, and keep that going. Inhaling as you lift and open the body. Exhaling as you settle it back onto the floor, massaging the spine. If you wish to, next time you lift the hips, you can keep them there for a few breaths. And perhaps joining your fingers together behind your hips, like we did at the beginning in our circle of joy pose. Every inhale, you're still lifting the hips, opening the heart to the sky, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And every exhale, let the hips dip just a little, ready to push the hands and arms into the ground and the feet into the ground on the next inhale and open again. Otherwise, you keep working dynamically or rest. 2 more breaths. And the next time you exhale, slowly, slowly release the body back down to the ground. Feel the hips widen, the shoulder blades widen as they settle on the earth. And ready to come into a lying twist at the end of the class. If you want to take this opportunity now to gather any extra layers that you might wish to use in relaxation, check that you've got that nearby. You might want to put socks on or have a blanket to put over you in a while. And we're going to deliberately shift the hips over to the left-hand side a little so that you're off center slightly. Still got your knees bent, feet flat on the floor. On an inhale, lift the knees over the chest. And as you exhale, let the knees drop to the right-hand side. Take the arms out, maybe shoulder height, maybe not quite that far away from the body. And allow the body to settle on the floor. And the nose can either point up to the sky, or you could turn to look at your left hand so that the nose points in the opposite direction to the knees. Allow everything to release and relax down towards the floor. Thinking about things going in opposite directions. And you allow this twist to happen through the body. So not a pose that we would normally take our body into in everyday life. Twists are so good for massaging the internal organs. We're allowing space in the belly. Can we keep the breath going nice and slow and smooth? As we gradually allow more and more of the body to sink down to the floor. Maybe closing the eyes. Thinking, relax and release. One more deep breath to finish here. And then on your next inhale, lifting the knees up towards the ceiling, placing the feet back on the ground, shimmy the hips and the shoulders so that everything's in a straight line again. Head, shoulders, hips, heels. Notice how that feels on one side of the body compared to the other. Maybe there are strange sensations. You feel a little asymmetrical. And then deliberately shift your hips over to the right-hand side. On the inhale, lift the knees up over the chest. On the exhale, let the knees drop over towards that left elbow. And the knees might be really close to the elbow. They might be really far away from it. If the knees don't reach the ground comfortably, see if shifting the hips backwards helps. Or you might want to put a blanket or a block between the knees or underneath the knees. You decide how much of this twist that you want to come into, and you can extend it through the whole body by taking the nose and looking over to your right hand, or you can keep the nose pointing up to the sky. Breathing in to areas that feel tight. Breathing out, releasing and relaxing down. Allowing gravity to take you down towards the floor, more and more of the body making contact with the earth with every breath. I want you to gently lift the knees up to the ceiling. Shift the hips and the shoulders. So once again, you're in a straight line, and you might like to hug the knees over the chest and have a little rock from side to side, letting the head rock and roll with you if that feels nice, massaging the back of the body. And before we come fully into relaxation, I'd like you to roll onto one side and press yourself up to sitting. And you might want to get a block or a blanket to sit on. We're going to do some alternate nostril breathing. And this is a lovely practice to settle and soothe the energy. And it's done with the right hand held in a mudra. And I'm not going to mirror you for this. So I'm going to work with my right hand and you work with your right hand. I want you to take your index finger and forefinger and place that lightly between the eyebrows. So it's on the point we call the third eye. And this should allow your thumb to rest lightly on your right nostril, above your right nostril, and the ring finger and little finger to rest lightly on your left nostril. And we can use those fingers to alternately open and close each side of the nose. So I'm going to talk you through a couple of rounds and then let you go into your own rhythm. If the hand and arm become tired, you can support it with your left hand, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Allow the eyes to close, if that's all right. Drop the chin down a little bit, so nice long back of the neck, and try and keep an upright, dignified posture, so nice long spine. We're going to start by pressing the right thumb down onto the fleshy part of the nose to close off the right nostril. Inhale and exhale through the left nostril. Then we begin the practice. We inhale through the left nostril, close the left nostril by pressing lightly with the ring finger, open the right nostril by lifting the thumb, and breathe out through the right nostril. And we breathe in through the right nostril, close off the right nostril, open the left nostril, breathe out through the left nostril. And you continue now in your own time. Maybe there's a little pause at the top of the inhale as you swap the fingers around. Maybe there's a little pause at the bottom of the exhale before you feel the need to breathe in again. I think that you're breathing in through the same nostril that you just breathed out of, and you're breathing out through the opposite nostril. So breathe in, same. Breathe out, different. Let your breath lead this movement. Nice, deep, slow breaths, no rushing. Allowing the concentration to flow from one side of the nose to the other, alternately opening and closing the nostrils. This balances our energy. We've got these energy channels through the body. And naturally, about every 20 minutes, we breathe more through one side of the nose than the other. And we swap over. About every 20 minutes, we swap over which side we're breathing through most. This happens unconsciously throughout the day and night. We're deliberately now swapping that energy from side to side with every breath. So if you're feeling low, this will lift the energy. If you're feeling a little overstimulated and manic, this will calm the energy, bringing everything into the center. We feel like we're breathing up and down the spine, up and down our central channel. And next time you're breathing out of your left nostril, I want you to take one more round of breath. So there's no rush. Letting the breath lead, taking you into relaxation. And when you've completed that final round, breathing out through the left nostril, let the hands come away from the face. resting on the knees or thighs, keeping the eyes closed, breathing in and out for a moment longer here, noticing how the energy feels, bringing this balance into our lives. And then without disturbing that energy too much, choose the relaxation posture you would like to finish in. So putting on any extra layers, lying down or coming onto your side. You can choose to stay in sitting if you want to. You might stretch the legs out long, or you might let the knees drop together. And letting yourself feel the contact with the ground. Closing your eyes. Releasing any tension in the jaw, the shoulders, around the hips. Letting the limbs be heavy. Fingers and toes relaxed. Bringing your attention to the night sky. Picturing all the celestial bodies traveling through the universe. The Earth orbiting around the sun with its fellow planets. And in ancient times, people watching the stars realized that some of these bright lights in the sky didn't follow this regular clockwise pattern, but seemed to wander a little backwards and forwards before continuing their orbit. And they named these stars wandering stars. From the Greek asteris planetae, from which we get the name that we keep today, planets. So the planets' seemingly erratic movements across the sky, which were actually a steady orbit around the sun, teach us that not everything is always as we first perceive it. And Mercury retrograde is a great time to remember this, to take a pause, to look back, to double check things. It can upset methods of communication, lead to misunderstandings and errors. And it doesn't hurt us sometimes to stop this racing forwards, ever onwards, but to pause and reflect and double check that people are understanding us, we're understanding people, and that we're communicating well. So taking a nice deep breath in, imagine you can breathe in and out through the throat space, the throat, the seat of our communication. If you're familiar with the Ujjayi breath, using that to breathe in and out. Stimulating this area has a positive effect on our communication skills. And seeing if we can stay with this feeling of peace and calm as we now let go of any thoughts about the stars, the planets, letting go of any control over our breath. Starting to make small movements, wiggling fingers and toes, having a stretch or a yawn, maybe hugging the knees over the chest again. And rolling onto your side. Let the hands find the floor and press you back up to a seated posture. And we'll finish bringing the hands in front of the heart, taking a lovely deep breath in there. And on the exhale, bowing to our practice that we've shared today, to the challenge of staying calm and balanced, even when things around you appear to be unpredictable and chaotic. Namaste.